Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Kimberly Cloud Show. I'm your host, Kimberly Cloud. So today I am bringing in a special guest for the show. He decided that he wanted to talk about the Grammys. No, the Oscars. My bad. And so I want to introduce a wholehearted welcome to Albert Lanier for the third time. How you doing, Albert?
How are you? How are things?
I am I am doing good. I'm glad that you came and to my show, and I just wanted to know, can
Well,
you
nice to
tell
be
me
here.
a little bit about your past again, and then we'll discuss the Oscars.
Right. Well, my past is, and it is relevant to what's happening now, a little relevant. I am a former freelance journalist and print journalist. I was a journalist for 22 years, writing for a variety of publications. And in Hawaii mostly, but also in California and Washington State. I also lived there and worked there. And since I retired in 2017, I wrote a blog for about 4 years on medium.com about media and current events. And more recently, I have newsletters on Substack. Two newsletters in particular, one called Final Cut and the other called Retro Review. They're both about films. Retro Review is reviews of movies from the past. In fact, I just did a couple of reviews, the first of the year, on Retro Review recently. So I just did a couple of movies. Diamonds Are Forever and Never Say Never Again, Bond movies. So, and Final Cut is a film newsletter that has various types of content, film content in it. Analytical essays, personal essays, or general essays about film. And I've been doing both of those newsletters now for the past couple years on Substack. And I also host a podcast called Final Cut. So that's, I guess, the past and the present. And the reason why it's relevant to the present is I'm currently on a media tour for award season. Award season meaning primarily the Oscars, because the Oscars are coming up in March. March 15th to be precise. And I was a former film reviewer. I was a film reviewer for about 8 years. I used to cover film festivals in my hometown also. So I did like maybe a couple a year or so. And I did film reviews, interviews, the whole shebang. So I basically have been, I've returned to writing about film. And currently right now I'm doing something I hadn't even done as a film reviewer. And that is talking about the Oscars, talking about awards. Normally, people would ask me, I used to go to a film discussion group at a bookstore called Borders, one of those chains called Borders. And during the Oscar season, I'd get people that would ask me about the Oscars, you know, what films you think might win, that whole thing. But I never was interviewed because at that time, I really wasn't doing interviews. I wasn't being interviewed on shows. So this is a first for me. The tour kicked off, let's see, February 2nd, Groundhog Day.
That's
I
13
was going to
days.
say
That's
that.
this year. This year, 13 days ago.
I guess so. So I kicked off the tour and I've done some interviews, and it's been a blast, really, talking about the Oscars. Something I've never done, even as a film reviewer. So it's interesting. The reason I'm doing this is because I write film newsletters. It makes sense. This is about one of the few times of the year where major media or other types of media kind of focus a little on movies as a whole. So it's kind of a perfect time to talk awards, talk film awards, talk films, and talk the Oscars.
Well said. So Kate Hudson, I was looking up stuff as you were going along about the
Mhm.
Oscar, and
Right.
she has a leading role in Song Sung Blue. So I
Hmm.
looked it
Right.
up and I see that they now classify her as a struggling performer, with Hugh Jackman, Song Sung Blue. And I would play the song, but I don't want to get kicked off of YouTube. So I
Like
would
copyright.
suggest y'all take that time to look at the show. What do you think about Kate Hudson? And I don't think she's a struggling performer, or this must be the
In the
song, the
movie. In
actual
the movie,
movie.
they're playing
Yes.
like struggling performers. Well, she got nominated for Song Sung Blue. That's an interesting nomination. It's an interesting one. Um, I don't think I'm that surprised by it. Um, so I was kind of surprised that Hugh Jackman didn't get nominated.
Really? He didn't get
Yeah,
nominated, but
he
she
didn't get
got nominated?
nominated for Song Sung Blue. He did. He did it. I was kind of surprised. That's not the only nominations. When it comes to the Oscars, my approach and my point of view is a much more pragmatic one. It's
Yes.
more oriented toward the industry. Like, there are people that look at the Oscars and it's about what should have won, what could have won. And I'm not really about that because I guess maybe as somebody who was a reviewer and film reviewer, and as somebody who's realistic about the film industry, the Oscars for me are about, and I've said this I think in another interview, the Oscars are really more about two things. Number one is marketing and advertising. If you win an Oscar, even if you get nominated for Oscar, it's a chance to advertise, put ads, and also it used to be print ads in the past. It's a little different now, but also to market your film or market films. Of course, if you win, that's the biggest marketing addend, so to speak, or marketing boost, is that you get to market your film as an Oscar winner. So it's really a marketing tool, as I see the Oscars, winning an Oscar, even being nominated for Oscar, in regards to movies. The second aspect is financial, and this is something I think even people who aren't in the industry or who haven't been around the industry understand, is that movies sometimes get a financial um, get get a bit of a inflation at the box office sometimes. Not always, but often, because they won an Oscar or they won a couple of Oscars, an opportunity to get the word out, again, marketing and advertising, and get people to watch that film, whether it's in theaters or it's in streaming these days. So it gives people the opportunity, or it gives really, when I look at the Oscars, it's more about financial boost to the box office of a movie, and it's about marketing and advertising movies. That's how I view the Oscars.
Yeah.
You know, I
Have
don't
you
really view it
seen
as
that
a marketing.
movie? Have you seen that movie Nine by with Kate Hudson in it? It was with
No, I didn't get around to seeing that. No, but I've heard good
okay.
things about it. I heard good things
Yeah,
about it.
Kate Hudson, she blew it out the water. I'm going backwards, but I know she's done good with that song, that
Right,
movie. Yeah.
right. But
Cause
I,
she
I see your
loved
point.
entertainment.
Right. I see your point because you're basically bringing out that she's nominated for this movie, but she's also been very good in some other movies in the past. So
Yes.
interesting point there. So yeah, it's in regards to the Oscars this year. If you get into my personal view of the Oscars this year in terms of nominations, I'm personally pretty satisfied. Um, I don't really have a lot of personal complaints. Speaking as somebody who is now a film analyst, I used to be a reviewer, but speaking as a film analyst, I don't, I've been pretty satisfied with this year's nominations for the most part. I have some, I don't want to say complaints, I have some criticisms. I
Tell me
think
about the criticisms.
that,
You
well,
know
right
how
off the bat,
I am.
okay.
You get more attention being a
I think you're
critic
the first
than a
person thus
reviewer.
far that has wanted to say, "Hey, let me know all the critical stuff." Right? I think right off the bat, Chase Infinity wasn't nominated for One Battle After Another, Paul Thomas Anderson's film. I thought that was ridiculous. Also, Paul Mescal in Hamlet. He wasn't nominated. I'm like, again, these things happen. I don't know what the rationale is. I don't know what the specific rationale or the specific calculus is, but I mean, every year when it comes to the Oscars, and people who follow movies and are great movie buffs or just great people who watch movies all the time, they can get caught up in these things they get caught up in those things, and I don't blame them for feeling a certain way about some of the nominations. Like I said, I can't understand how you can nominate a movie like Hamlet, which I think is the Best Picture nomination, and some other nominations, and not have Paul Mescal, who plays William Shakespeare in that movie. I don't get it. The same with Chase Infinity and One Battle After Another. I don't understand how that character who is central in that movie gets eclipsed. I mean, I know there are other nominations and they're all worthy. Leonardo DiCaprio, Teyana Taylor, Sean Penn. I don't get why they ignored her, but again, I don't. And the final criticism I have is primarily the movie No Other Chance, Park Chan-wook's superb film.
Have you
based on
seen any international or scary or Asian movies?
Yes.
And what is your view?
Well, I'm glad you asked me that question. It's almost perfect that you asked that question, because one of the reasons that I've been very satisfied with this year's Oscars are a lot of the international films. A lot of films from other countries have been nominated. One of the films that I think, one of my personal favorites, and a film I think is one of the best films of the year, is The Secret Agent from Brazil.
I was just seeing that. I just scrolled and seen that. Tell me about it.
The Secret Agent, I don't want to give away too much. People haven't seen it. So I got to be careful with some of these movies. I can't give away. But The Secret Agent is set during the dictatorship in Brazil I think in 1977, certainly in the 1970s. And it's about basically a professor who's on the run. He's got hitmen after him. Other forces, someone who wants him dead. And it's this fascinating political film, I would say to a certain extent thriller. But with that title, Secret Agent, is ironic. Because this is a man, it's an ironic title. Because this is not a man who's a spy. This is not a man who's a secret agent. This is just a man just trying to survive and really leave along with his son.
Oh,
so
I've seen the clip from this. Yeah,
that's
like crazy.
I can't. That's why I don't want to talk too much about it. But that's that's up for Best Picture, also Best International Feature Film. I think Best Actor, a number of other nominations. Another film is It's Just an Accident from Janar Panahi, and which won the Palme d'Or at Cannes. That's a film
Take me in a view of what they were thinking, this director, when he made this. Do you know?
Well, It's Just an Accident. It's interesting because it's essentially a revenge drama, and the director was put in prison in Iran because I think he's been a critic of the I think he's been critical of the government there, or somewhat critical. So I don't think most of his movies, I think he's only had one movie. He's been making movies for over 20 years. He's only had one movie shown in Iran. The rest are shown outside of Iran. And It's Just an Accident. It was filmed in Iran, but he had previously been in prison. I think that's where the inspiration for this movie comes from. Again, that's a movie. I don't want to talk about it because I don't want to spoil it for people.
Understood. It just said
it's hard with some of these films. I don't want to give away. I don't want to give away a lot. But that's another movie I'm very happy got nominations. It's done pretty well with Critics Awards.
Yeah.
Another film is Sentimental Value. I think Joaquin Trier's film with Stellan Skarsgård and Elle Fanning. A director wants to shoot a movie in, I think it was his childhood home or his family home or whatever, his old home. And sort of the interaction between this director and his family. And another movie I'm very happy got a number of nominations, especially acting nominations. I would say One Battle After Another, Paul Thomas Anderson. Well, that's not a foreign film, so so I'll leave it at those three movies at least. So,
Well
in fact,
said.
I'll add one thing. One of the things that I've noted in regards to the Oscars, because I just came back to writing about film like a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
By creating my newsletter's Final Cut and Retro Review. And when I came back, one of the things I noticed about the Oscars, because I would, pay a little attention to the Oscars here and there, but not a lot. The Oscars have changed over the years. And I would say that the Oscars are now fundamentally a de facto global film awards, because the Oscars seem to represent cinema and they represent movies from around the world in a way they did not. They didn't really do that years ago. They weren't really about giving nominations to movies outside of the U.S. too much. Even the European film.
Whatever is going on political, Hollywood has always given an outlet for people to share their stories through movies, and we all come together to watch movies. Now, like you said, to piggyback off of what you said, they are bringing movies. I didn't know this, but I'm just repeating what you said. They are bringing movies from international, even though they were doing it before, it's getting better and better. We have to have allies. We have to be able.
I think that's a good point. I think it's better and better is a good point. I would agree with that. I think the Academy has become more globally inclusive, which I like.
Yeah.
And which is something I think that's been, when you look at a movie like Parasite a few years ago, which was the first international film, used to be called foreign, but international film to win Best Picture. I think there's been that kind of breakthrough with the Oscars. It seems to be over more than the past decade and more. So it's become more of an international award. By contrast, the Golden Globes, which was already held, it was held in January. I really consider the Golden Globes more of a Hollywood type award. It's more oriented toward personality and celebrity. And, even though it's voted upon by the Hollywood Foreign Press Association, which are people from other countries, some of them are journalists, not all of them. It's interesting. I think the Oscars, because it's the Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences, the Oscars are more about film in general, and a variety of aspects of film. So they not only have the Oscars, but they also have the Margaret Herrick Library. They have the Academy Theater, which has screenings all throughout the year. They've got, they've got the Student Academy Awards, and the Oscars are only one part of the Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences. The public face, it's the big award show that people will know, but they have all these other things going on with the Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences.
Okay. And it sounds like an explosive. The last I've seen last year or the year before last about Hollywood, I heard people were protesting about that. However, the Oscars and stuff, I'm going to start picking up and watching, because my opinion, sometimes I want to drop how I feel, and I do that so that I can see it. Fulfills my heart to see another person's view on something, on their vision. And they sell us every time with their visions on movies, and I haven't watched movies in a while. So it's intriguing me to actually go through these movies as you talk about them. So you can continue.
Mm-hmm. All right. Yeah. So, like I said, I think it's a pretty good year for the Oscars. When I say pretty good year, it's been a very good year in terms of movies, in my view. I think it was a very strong year in terms of movies. I don't know if it was a good year for the country, but it was a good year for for movies. And even some of these popcorn type movies, as they like to call it, F1 did very well. It's nominated for the Oscars for Best Picture, and I think
F1.
some other. Of course, the big winner in regards to nominations was Sinners. They got 16 nominations. And you also have some other films that are done well. Like I said, One Battle After Another, Paul Thomas Anderson's film. That's got, I think, 13 nominations. If I recall correctly, Guillermo del Toro's Frankenstein did very well. His adaptation of Frankenstein did very well. In fact, I was on a show and I was talking about horror movies because Sinners is considered a horror movie. It's much more than that. Sinners is really a hybrid movie in my view. It's a kind of folklore, cultural drama mixed with music embedded in a horror movie. But you also have, let me see, Weapons. They got a nomination. Amy Madigan for Best Supporting Actress. And Frankenstein, of course, gothic horror. So horror's doing pretty well, or has done pretty well in terms of nominations this year. Kind of an unusually highly representative year for horror movies at the Oscars. It's interesting.
Tell me more about Frankenstein, because I was just reading and it says Dr. Victor Frankenstein, brilliant but egotistical scientist, bring a creature to life in a monstrous experiment that ultimately leads to the undoing of both the creator and his tragic creation. How about
Yeah.
you?
Oh, okay. Yeah, Guillermo del Toro, an excellent filmmaker. He's doing his. I think this is a dream project of his. Was doing this adaptation of Frankenstein. And what I will say about it, because I'm sure people have seen other adaptations of Frankenstein. This to me, when I saw it, this to me is the closest that I've seen to a Frankenstein adaptation that treats the creature as something akin to a human being and not a monster. Notice that I refer to him as a creature, not as a monster. Most movies, most adaptations, treat the creation of Dr. Victor Frankenstein as a monster. This movie doesn't, I don't think. I mean, you may get some elements that make it seem that way, but it's not really treated that way. He's treated as this kind of concoction of carbon, in my view, and body parts. And so it's the closest that I've seen to the creature being realized and actualized as a human being or close to a human being. And it's a beautifully done adaptation. Really is, wonderful CGI work, some terrific performances. Oscar Isaac, and of course, Jacob Elordi as the creature. And I think with Frankenstein, what you have in that movie is there's that thematic aspect of father and son. Victor Frankenstein and his father, and then that Victor himself and the creature, because it's just as he's the son of his father, the creature is, in a sense, like a proxy son for Dr. Frankenstein or Victor. So I think a good film, a really beautifully done adaptation.
Yes, I wanted to show you, they got videos. It says nominated for 9 Oscars, 54 wins, and 259 nominations total. That is so cool. That is very cool. What other movies would you like to discuss that intrigued you?
That's interesting. There's so many I could talk about.
What was your favorite? What pops in your head? What pops in
Well,
your
one of my favorites was The Secret Agent.
Yeah.
Secret Agent was one of my favorites. One Battle After Another is another favorite of mine. I liked a movie that didn't get nominated called No Other Choice, which I mentioned, Park Chan-wook. I like that a lot. I would also, F1 was okay. F1 was pretty good.
That
Brad
was
Pitt. I
with
like
Brad
Brad Pitt's
Pitt.
character in F1. I liked his character in F1. So, and I like the look of the movie. I like the look of the movie. Would I say is would I nominate for Best Picture? No, but I did like it. Yeah, I think it's movies from other countries. It's just an accident, secret agent, sentimental value, no other choice which to get nominated. There's a lot of movies from other countries. I used to always look at foreign, so-called international movies from other countries when I was a film reviewer because the film festival I'd go to was an Asia Pacific film festival. So there's a lot of movies from Asian countries. I got to see some from European and some other nations as well. But yeah, I mean, I kind of if there's in regards to the awards, again, I'm from a personal point of view, I'm pretty satisfied with the nominations this year. I do think that I get a feeling though that Sinners I don't think will win Best Picture. I don't want to make predictions, but I don't think Sinners will win Best Picture. I think, and I've said this in an interview too. I think Sinners will be appreciated, even though it made a lot of money and it got a lot of critical acclaim. I think it'll be appreciated more in the following years than right now. The same is true, I think, of Paul Thomas Anderson's One Battle After Another. So, yeah, I mean, for me, it's been a lot of. I mean, like I said, the tour kicked off the first week of February, and I've
What
kind
is
of been surprised.
Hollywood? How do Hollywood feel about the movies that you have actually been talking about? I know about the nominations and everything, but
Mhm.
what have you seen about the buzz of different characters and how they feel, actors and actresses? How do they feel about these nominations? How do the directors, how do the people behind closed doors feel?
Closed doors I can't get to.
I
I
know,
don't have
right?
I don't have the sources. So if
Yeah.
people were giving me, hey, if people want to contact me. People at the, if nominees and people at the academy or otherwise want to contact me again, I'll be glad to talk to them off the record. Of course, I'm not a journalist anymore. I write my newsletters, Final Cut and Retro Review, but I'm not a journalist anymore. So I'm what I call film analyst and analyze movies. So of course, I wouldn't mind going to the Oscars. So
That's hey,
just,
hey,
just put that out
hey,
there.
yeah, I like that. Tell
Yeah.
Hollywood why do you do what you do? Why is it that what brings you and draws you to being a film analyst for Hollywood?
Well, I'm not a film analyst for Hollywood. I'm a film analyst that maybe looks at Hollywood, movies from the major studios, so forth. What drew me, I think, is my background as a film reviewer. I was a film reviewer for 8 years. I went to film festivals. I interviewed filmmakers. I went to screenings. I saw movies. I reviewed movies. So it's my background that brings me to being a film analyst. I wanted to go back to writing about movies. I wanted to get back to doing that. I'd been away from it for a long time. Oh, over a decade, maybe 15 years, close to it.
Are you pro
So
Hollywood or anti Hollywood? I'm neutral, but I'm not gonna go either or, I like
that's
to
an
hear
interest,
about the positive
that's an
things.
interesting question. That's an interesting question. Um, I don't. Again, I'm more about the. I'm more about the movies.
I like
I
that. So you're neutral. You have a
Well, I'm
happiness.
not.
You have a
I'm not. I'm not.
happiness.
I don't have a skin. I don't have skin in the game in regards to the business. I mean, if you're a filmmaker, you have skin in the game. If you're an actor, you have skin in the game. If you're a crew member, you've got skin in the game because you're part of the industry. I'm not part of the industry that way. So I don't have any skin in the game. So when it comes to the industry, I'm sure that I have my views and my, what I, you know, opinions about it, but I've always been somebody. My focus has been on the movies because I was a journalist for over 20 years, and when I was a film reviewer, I was reviewing movies. I was interviewing celebrities. So you keep up with the industry at times, but I don't concern myself. It's not really a matter of what I think about the industry. You
Well
know,
said. Yeah, I like that. That's a great, honest answer. Very honest. Thank you.
oh,
So
thank you.
yeah, like my opinion, I'm neutral. However, I look at the art, just like you're happy doing what you're doing on the outside. Even though you would like to dip in, I'm like kind of similar. Every now and then I would like to dip in and go like to a event. Everybody would like, it's like a fairy tale to sit up there and dress up for an occasion and walk that walk.
Yeah,
However,
I don't think I've ever. Well, I've never been to the Oscars,
mhm.
so I've never been to the Oscars. I've never been to a award show, but I will mention this. I did go to a kind of Oscar-oriented event years ago. The film festival I covered here, they would have like a fundraiser type event. It was official, one of the official what they call Oscars across America. And in fact, this was this is I guess my pass or whatever it was to the event. So what they do is they hold like Oscar telecasts,
Mhm.
and so officially sanctioned, I guess, by the Academy, Oscar telecasts. And I went to one. I was invited to one year, and so it was unusual for me because I had never seen the Oscars outside of my apartment or outside of wherever I was living. Whether it was in Hawaii or whether it was Honolulu or Seattle or LA, I'd never seen outside of my apartment or house or wherever I was living. And it was interesting. It was a Sunday. I was working because I was freelancing for a friend's newspaper. She had a small newspaper, and there was a problem with my computer or something, so I had to go to her house and work on this article, write this article. So she was going to the event. I was going to the event. Both invited. So she had to drive me back to my place, and then I had to get change and wear formal wear. Not quite this, but and she drove and she changed as well, and obviously we headed off to the event, which was held in this restaurant. It was a
Did you
small
take
restaurant.
some pictures? Did you take some pictures too? That was a special
I think I
event.
did. I think I did, but I would have to go through my photos. I have like old photos. I have to go through them. But I was in this restaurant, so I'm dressed up watching the Oscars, which I'd never been. When I watch the Oscars, I'm like, wearing t-shirt and jeans or something. I'm not formally dressed. I'm like, ugh. I'm like, I don't like to dress up.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm giving something away here. I do not like to dress up.
It
Like
don't feel it
I
don't
only
feel a
dress up
little
now.
Albert. It don't feel a little good to you to dress up. You look nice. It
On
feels
occasion.
good.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's true. On occasion. And I'm fine with it. Like if it's a formal event or something, I don't mind. I enjoy it. But I don't wear I don't own ties or anything like that. I don't wear ties. I gotta borrow a tie. Like when I retired in 2017, I stopped looking like this. I only look like this. I shouldn't give this away, but I'm going to. I only do this. I only dress up like this when I'm doing an interview because this is the way that I was when I was a freelancer and a journalist. So, I mean, when you're a writer, you can't have on a Grateful Dead T-shirt and shorts. I mean, maybe some writers can. I can't do that because if I could come on YouTube, on my YouTube channel, I have a YouTube channel called @WriterAlbertLanier3434. On my YouTube channel, I can be, wear my T-shirt and all that, but no, when I'm doing an interview, I can't can't do that.
What
You
is it
know.
again? What is it again?
Oh, my YouTube channel, my official YouTube channel is at writer Albert Lanier 3434. Also, writer Albert Lanier.
I like that.
So yeah, I only look like this. So anyway, I'm sitting at this restaurant, packed to the gills with people, and there are TVs everywhere. So we got the telecast live. Where I was living and still living in Hawaii, you could get the Oscars live at the time. So we're getting it like hours ahead because normally it's here in Hawaii it would be in the afternoon. So you get the Oscars live now, but you have to watch in the afternoon. And they also, I think, repeat it at night at prime time. But I'm sitting there looking at I thought, oh, I'm going to have a miserable time here. And it turned out to be great. I had a great time because I thought people are going to be talking and,
You're
I
doing
think,
really well for yourself, FYI, with your podcast. I like that. That's
oh,
like 73 views here. That is huge. You should congratulate yourself.
oh, you mean Final Cut? Are you referring to
No,
Final Cut?
no, not just Final Cut, but your
Oh,
YouTube channel. You should congratulate yourself. Do you
oh,
check
YouTube
your
channel.
statistics?
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. Okay. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. It's funny. I don't really promote my YouTube. I should admit this. I don't promote my YouTube channel as much as it's over 3 years old. I don't really promote it as much because I have so much stuff to promote. I got my newsletters and my podcast and by the time I get to my YouTube channels, yes, my YouTube channel. But I appreciate that. Thank you for saying that. I mean, I still do a couple of things on my YouTube channel. I have a show called Outro, which is a show about shows and being interviewed. So it's like behind the scenes being interviewed on that. And I also, let me see. I had a football show because I was doing analysis on a sports show. So NFL analysis. And I was doing a show called The Wise Guy Show. But that show's done. And so I had Outro and I've done a couple of other videos, but that's been about it. So, but I was surprised, getting back to my Oscar story, I'm weaving in and out of my Oscar story. I ended up having a good time. Now, sitting down and watching the Oscars, dressed up, and I think the dinner was pretty good. But I enjoyed it. It's the only time in my life that I've the only time I watched the Oscars in a formal way, like been to an Oscar event or something like that. And I did enjoy it. The last thing I'll say is the closest that I've come to an award show is in my city. They were showing the Emmys a few years ago. And I had the program for the Emmys, but I don't have it with me right over here. But I was at the Emmys, not the actual Emmys. They were, broadcasting it in theaters or places across the country. They're doing a special thing. So I went to a theater in downtown here, and again, dressed up, and sat down for what seemed like an eternity with the Emmys, like 3 hours. Here's what I will say, and that's the closest I've come to watching an award show in as close to what an awards experience would be. Like you're in a theater and you're sitting down and you're watching what's happening. Except that, and there were hosts on the stage. You had local hosts, and of course it was broadcast on the screen. But you had local hosts. It was interesting, but it was exhausting. I didn't realize how exhausted I was, and so I tip my hat. Especially, I will say to all those who are nominated this year for Oscars, and those who are nominated for Golden Globes. I don't know how they sit through the Golden Globes. Oh, that must be tough. At those tables and having to get up, like, oh my goodness. I will say this. I salute all the nominees and all the people attending this year's Oscars to sit through an award show, especially if you're first time. The closest I've come to that is watching the Emmys in a theater, and it was exhausting. I'm just sitting down watching this. I was like completely tired afterward. I don't know how they do it, and it just made me go, I really give the credit to the actors and actresses and directors and writers and all those people who have to sit through these award shows. It's tough.
Yeah.
It's tough. I'm telling you. I did it with the Emmy broadcast, and and even though that wasn't the actual Emmys, it was close enough to me. I was like, I don't know how they do it. So I wouldn't mind going to the Oscars, but I don't know. I'm like, man, I don't know how you get through that. Red Bull, I don't know. Lots of coffee, I don't know. Ooh, man.
I was thinking that. I didn't want to say maybe they have a drug. They say they all
Yeah, no,
take
no, no,
that
no,
we
no,
don't
no,
know
no.
about. Yeah,
Some of
yeah,
them
it would
have.
be
I mean, it was a
something,
producer called
right?
Julia Phillips who had
Uh-huh.
produced movies like The Sting and I think Close Encounters Third Time. She did a memoir, and she said she was high at the Oscars. She was high, and I guess when she got called up on stage to win an Oscar for, I think it was The Sting that she produced, but she said she was high. So I'll just leave it that one at that.
Yeah, like she, that to piggyback off what you said, I noticed that they're so. I mean, all those people, not a little nervous. It's like what and I won't go any further with it, but I just feel like in a positive light that they're really good. Some of them are good people. They've been in Hollywood and they have influenced me. At a tender age of 12, I sat in front of a television watching
Oh,
around
that's good.
the ones that
That's good to
are
hear.
older
That's
now.
good to hear.
Yeah,
That's good to hear.
yeah. And it's like people like I grew up listening to Whoopi Goldberg. The guy from the little kid from Home Improvement. He's not a kid now that played as the Lion King, and it's like I really appreciate the old school movies that grew with me and made me cry. I've laughed with Hollywood. I've cried with Hollywood. I'm angry at Hollywood.
Interesting.
However, yeah,
That's
they're
an
good.
interesting way to put it. I think
Yeah.
that's a lot of people's experience. But Whoopi has hosted at not only won an Oscar but hosted a couple times. I can't imagine what it's like to host one of those award shows. Again, I salute those who are able to do it. Conan O'Brien, I think, is doing the Oscars this year. I give him all the credit in the world.
I don't know him, but I've seen him. I don't know a political stylist and it doesn't even matter. However, I give them all credit because they work vigorously. They work hard, and then to have someone try to take that from someone, like lawsuits and everything, all that pressure, I give it to them. People try to sue them, for no reason. And I'm just starting to learn. Justin Bieber had a song said lonely, lonely, and I get it, I know how it is.
Well, that's the music business. That's a whole other kettle of fish.
That's true.
That's a whole other.
He
That's a
never
whole other
actually
thing.
did a movie. Did he do a movie or a documentary?
I don't recall. Offhand, I don't recall. I I got to be honest. When it comes to celebrities in general, the only reason I'm aware of them is the internet. I told my relatives this. I'm like, the only way I know who Justin Bieber is because of the internet. I'm on the internet and they came up. Oh, that's what this guy is. Well, that's who this guy is. I got to be honest. I'm not an expert on celebrity. I know there are people that like do gossip and celebrity. Like I really don't like gossip. Like
Well,
celebrity gossip. I don't care about that. I don't care about people's personal lives. Really, I'm more interested in actors working in their films and what their body of work is and what their canon is. I don't really
I
care
like
about.
that.
I'm not
I
really
like
interested in
that.
their private lives.
Yeah. I
Not
mean,
really.
hey, I feel like Justin Bieber. I'm gonna go back to him real quick. I know he's a
Okay.
musician,
Yeah.
but he deserved to get a shout out because he's been through a lot, and a lot of these celebrities have a lot of pressure on them, and so I feel
Sure.
their pain because they have so much to lose and
That's right.
nothing to gain,
It's a
like
good way to
Kanye
put it.
West and everyone, you
Yeah,
know.
it's a good way to put it. It's a good way to put it. Again, I'm not an expert on celebrities, but I'll go with you on that one.
Yeah. So how do you feel about the future with AI, like in the next 30 years? How do you feel it's gonna bring Hollywood closer to our, you know, houses and
Well,
like connection?
AI was a big, when they had the SAG strikes and the Writers Guild strike, that was a big factor. Was, AI replacing writers, AI replacing actors and extras. That's going to have an impact on the industry. It's already beginning to have somewhat of an impact on the industry. For me personally, I don't know if I should talk personally about AI. One of the reasons I retired was AI. Because when I found out about it in 2016, I realized, this is this is the end of my. This could be, the end of my, the end of my road, the end of the road, possibly for me in regards to work. So that's one of the reasons I retired. Not the reason, but it was one of the reasons. I'm not a fan of AI.
Really? AI
No,
replaced you?
no, AI didn't replace me. I left before AI could replace me.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. I don't I you are entitled 100% times infinity to your opinion. If you don't like AI, that's you.
Yeah, I
I
know.
don't hate you.
1,000 times plus infinity. I like that.
Yeah. Maybe you should put that on your YouTube channel. Yeah, I love the 3434. You know what
Oh,
that is,
really?
right? Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm
interesting you
intrigued.
mentioned my YouTube channel. It's not like I get a lot of. It's not like I'm getting. It's not like I got lots of subscribers there or lots of views on my live streams. But I'm glad you mentioned it.
No, seriously, the people that you do have must really care because you have a basic fluctuation. Like when I go on your page, you have like 30 views here, 83 views here, 93 views here, 39. I
Mhm.
I think that is
Yeah,
pretty cool.
really. Okay. Well,
And you I don't even want to know how you feel about because
that's
you said
that's. I mean,
beware.
I.
One of your titles said beware of big tech. Hey, I understand.
Mhm.
Why should we be aware though? Tell me, that's like Kanye West
Well,
saying he want to be president and he doesn't have a plan. What is your
well,
plan and why?
that was partly. I think I was talking about. I don't know if I should talk about it here, but I got kicked off of Instagram. So
Mm.
that was the impetus for that. I was promoting a YouTube channel that an interview on a YouTube channel, and they kicked me to some kind of appeals process. I'd never had any issue or anything come up with Instagram, and then I went through that process. Whatever it was, I didn't know what was going on. And a couple hours later, or wherever it was, I checked. Um, I went back, and they said your account's your account's gone on this on this platform. They said there were fake channels. That was the reason. I was like, fake channel. I had no idea what was going on. There were no fake channels. I had one channel, which is one profile, and that was my own. And all I did was promote my podcast, my newsletters, and anything else. It was totally bizarre. So that was
Dang.
where the big tech thing that came from. So I just went on a couple of other, I'm on Pinterest. So I went to Pinterest and I went, okay, because I needed platforms to promote my podcast and my newsletters and everything else. So, by the way, if people want to, because I have to get going here, but if people want to check me out, obviously, Kimberly mentioned YouTube. That's at writer Albert Lanier 3434 on YouTube. But online, in terms of social media, check me out on Pinterest. I'm on Pinterest. I'm also on Blue Sky. So I think that's at writer Al Lanier Blue Sky Social, if I'm not mistaken, on Blue Sky. Of course, Facebook, X. I think I don't need to repeat that. But yeah, I'd say especially check me out because of those newer platforms that I've been on: Blue Sky, Pinterest, and Blue Sky. Check me out there.
Well said. And I'm glad that we ended on a good note. Thank you,
Oh,
everybody. Take care, and I'll see you guys another time. Bye.